One Christmas, my mother gave me a package. It was wrapped in brown paper, tied with kite string, and across the front she'd written, "Truth is stranger than fiction." I knew from the wrapping that she thought it was hot. It was a setup. I was supposed to do something with this. But what? Who was this person? And what happened to her? The book was no help at all. When I asked my mother what happened, she raised an eyebrow, gave me a half smile, and told me a story. One day, when visiting her very favorite junk store, she spotted a box of books. $5, a couple dozen books. She bought it. Back home, one after another, it seemed like a pretty disappointing lot. Until she came to the memoir. 0 to 21 in 85 pages, and it stops dead. So what happened? Was her first 21 years also her last? My mother read through that memoir in one sitting, and she was hooked. She had to find out what happened to her. She had to find some kind of clue. All she could do was go back to the box. It was a long shot, a very long shot. But then she found it. It was a package of letters, 1920 to 1945, from a mother to a daughter. Page after page, year after year, it was all about family, but not the one my mother was interested in. There was no connection between them. She was just about to give up, about to accept that she would never find out what happened to the lively little Josie Rotch, who became the beautiful Mrs. Albert Bigelow. But then, in December 1929, she came to this. Have you been reading the newspapers lately? About J.P. Morgan's nephew and a girl named Bigelow. Double suicide. And that's where it got very interesting. It was my turn. Finding out about him, Harry Crosby, was easy. Back home in Boston, he was the black sheep of a very prominent family. To his friends, he was the lucky expat living in Paris on family money. A playboy striving for recognition as a publisher and a poet. And one more thing. Harry was a sun-worshipping death cultist who planned to die in October 1942. So why now? And why her? My mother was right. There was a story here, and I planned to find it. It all began in Venice. Oh, so romantic. Except that she was shopping for her upcoming wedding, and he was traveling with his wife, Caress. 18 months later, it ended in New York. In each other's arms, both with a gunshot to the head. But did Harry really intend to die that night? Something about this story was missing. What happened in the 2 hours between her death and his? Wouldn't a writer leave a suicide note? In his pocket there were 2 steamship tickets, Mr. and Mrs. Harry Crosby, sailing to Paris the next day. And about the feet, painted red, what was that about? Ever since that fateful night, writers have taken on the story of Harry, but in all of them, Josephine is just a footnote. No one could answer the question, why then, why her? I made a plan, first to dig through the newspaper and police archives in New York City, then on to Providence, Rhode Island, where I'd combed through the Harry Crosby archive at Brown University, with a quick stop in Old Lyme to see where Josephine Rotch became Mrs. Albert Bigelow. Here's what happened. Nice church, no big deal. But then I see a gardener, and I have an idea, and I ask him, where's the local cemetery? He sends me up the road, where I find her grave almost immediately, and look who's sitting on it. How odd. Providence provides. There were manuscripts and books, including one of poems for Josephine. There were 10 journals numbering over 2,000 pages, including this one, which had a note at the bottom. Thank God for the rabbits with their funny little habits. It was by Josephine. So all along, I had the missing piece. One single sentence in Josephine's memoir, matched against an entry in Harry's, told everything. Why then, and why her? Now I knew what to do about Fire Princess.